All right, and that's Hannah's Field. And I want to say welcome to our Northampton Community Television audience. This is Rick Haggerty with Kickin' It for Peace, Culture, and Education, airing each Sunday morning from 8 to 10 a.m., replaying Tuesday nights 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Thank you so much to everybody at NCTV who helps make this possible. Dave Nealand, Al Williams, and the crew. Thanks so much for being on board, folks. And this morning, we've got very special guests with us. We've got Ido Moore and Casandra Holden from Laudable Productions. How you doing this morning, folks?
Good. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks, Rick.
All right. Thanks so much for being here. So we've got audio, we've got video, we're ready to go. So let's talk about Laudable Productions. And Casandra, I think you wanted to talk about where you guys have been with your kind of activist leanings and what's been going on there.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, there were racist incidents that occurred in East Hampton, one in particular at the high school, and we felt that it was important to use the Mill Pond Live concert series as a way to address that and spark a conversation within the community. So that year, pardon me, for one of our shows, we partnered with the Rosenberg Fund for Children. And for those folks who aren't familiar with the Rosenberg Fund, they support the children of activists when their parents are incarcerated or, in some other situation so that those children can thrive. Anyway, so we had a number of outstanding performers that year, including Sweet Honey in the Rock, Climbing Poetry, Rebel Diaz, and shifted a lot of what we were doing to include workshops and art exhibitions that really opened up that space in a very different way. But in the process of putting that series together that year, we realized that, this is something that we should be doing year round in a much more forward way. And curiously, when performers are on stage, often the audience will relate to the beat or the sort of sense of the music without connecting deeply with the lyrics. This isn't everyone, but this is often the case that, people come expecting to be entertained. And so we really felt it was important to shift into this space where we're getting people to really listen and understand the words and connect with the issues that artists are singing about and, doing work around.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an important thing to bring to a community, given that there's so much danger out there right now. I mean, there's, small incidents of hate and
in many ways we live in a bubble here, but we also wanted to connect the things that were happening locally to the larger national narrative around these things. That while we might feel safer in our communities, there are a lot of people who don't feel safe and who are directly impacted by these things.
Totally, yeah. So thanks for sharing that with us, and we'll look to hear more about that. So, Ido, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the shows? And I think Collides was one of the first ones.
Sure, man. And just to add to what Cassandra's saying, and for folks who don't know, Mill Pond Live is a free concert series that happens at the end of August, beginning of September every year in East Hampton, and it's amazing because it's sponsored by local businesses. And about 2,000 people show up and sit on the grass and hear music for about 4 hours. So definitely check it out. And that's actually how I met these folks a couple years ago. And we started programming a lot of world music together.
Excellent.
Yeah. We, I think, sort of both settled on this feeling that it's fun to have people experience new things that they haven't potentially heard before. And that's part of what you guys do in your programming in East Hampton. So we started doing this series called the World Music Collider together, which is about a few things. One thing is getting people to dance to live music, which it seems like people didn't have too many opportunities to do that in the Valley. And the other thing is to bring different performers from different cultures together in one evening. And so the one coming up on May 24th at the Union Station Ballroom in Northampton is we have a band from Haiti called Rum, and they are one of the preeminent bands from Haiti. They're an iconic voodoo rock
I saw that,
roots band, and really tremendous. They've never been to the Valley before. This is their first time, and they put on just an incredible live show. It's almost it's almost like this ritual celebration,
Yeah.
with the rah-rah horns and
Yeah.
and sort of the parade style thing going on. And then we're combining
Nice.
that with a band from Brooklyn called Combo Lulo. And it's no surprise if you haven't heard of them. This is like their 4th gig they've played. So people in New York haven't heard of them yet.
That's
But they're
cool.
like a super group of members from Antibalas
Yeah.
and the Easy Star All-Stars and the Scatolites. So they're all musicians who are incredibly seasoned and know what they're doing. And this is
So cool.
a really cool new project that we're excited to drop in with. It's sort of tropical music, so it's fun to drop them in with the Haitian band. So.
Now, so is that the front portion of Union Station? Is that where
It's actually the main ballroom on the
Main
inside.
ballroom,
Folks
yeah.
are probably more familiar with it as a wedding venue and conference space.
Yeah.
But we roll in and put in a big sound system and lights and totally transform it and make
Very
it into
cool.
a club setting for our events there.
So that's May 24th, which is coming up. That's
I
very
know,
soon.
it's-
Yeah.
2 weeks away.
Yeah, totally. So it's a Friday. It's a Friday night. What time? Friday, right? May
Friday,
24th?
8 p.m.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
going to be, yeah. And we encourage people, we don't have any openers at these colliders. Both bands are the headliners. So we encourage
So
people to
get
get
there at
there
8.
right at
Yeah,
8 and
yeah.
check out everything because it's not worth, not
Yeah.
to be missed. Yeah.
Excellent. And
And actually, that's
Yeah, go
one
ahead.
of the things that's true of our Mill Pond series as well, that we don't really believe in this format of openers and headliners. So we want people to get there, right at the beginning because all the music's good.
excellent. Okay, so maybe even get there early and check out the space or whatever. But
Absolutely.
yeah. Okay. All right. So so that band from Brooklyn, boy, that sounds really crazy. That is like great stuff. And just hitting the Pioneer Valley before really.
What's
digging
been
in
happening is we've been bringing
yeah.
lots of groups up from Brooklyn, and it's a very, the Valley audience is an extremely enthusiastic, loving audience, and they don't necessarily get that love down in New York sometimes. New Yorkers they have everything.
It's a tough crowd, right? Yeah.
It's a tough crowd. So they've been we've been making this relationship with bands down
Nice.
there, and they're really excited every time they come up here, and they spread the word with their other bandmates who play in other bands, and so.
Nice.
That's part of why this is happening, yeah.
And you
Nice.
had the privilege of debuting a number of acts up here. BCUC made their U.S. debut back in January. That was at Collider 5.
Yeah, that Collider 4, that was a South African Afro-psychedelic punk band that, it has elements of Ladysmith Black Mambazo, and then it has elements of Afrobeat, like Fela Kuti Afrobeat, and then punk music as well. So super special project.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent. All right, so let's see. So we weren't going to follow the actual timeline, but so we're where are we at right now? We're at the. What about the now? Oh, you said New City Brewery.
We could talk about
right?
the brewery shows too. Yeah,
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So-
I'll just-
So the World Music Collider is this thing we've been doing in different venues around the valley, and it depends on the kind of band, it depends on how many people we think might make it, and just the size of the event. But we have these bookings we do at New City Brewery in East Hampton, Massachusetts, called the Planetary Party, and we just started this new series, and it's once a month. We're committing to bringing world music to East Hampton, to the valley, once a month, and we start off the series with Anbessa Orchestra, this Ethiopian jazz orchestra from Brooklyn and Los Angeles, and coming up now in this coming Thursday, May 16th, we have a really, really, really special guest from Peru called Los Mirlos. And they basically, back in the 70s in Peru, you have surf rock mixing up with cumbia music from Colombia, and then mixing up with sort of the traditional indigenous music that's happening in different parts of Peru. And there's this new style of music that came out called chicha, or Amazonian cumbia. And Los Mirlos are one of the legendary chicha bands that... They just played nationally for many years, and then back in 2014, there was kind of a revival in the genre, and they started touring all over the world. And at this point, they've toured in every Latin American country, and this is the first time they're coming to the U.S. So it's sort of a special
Excellent.
occasion, special guests.
And this will be an intimate performance with them too. We've reconfigured New City, so there's plenty of space for dancing, but it's also really fun because we'll have a food truck outside, and you can be out on the patio, you can be in dancing, and you get to hang with all your friends.
Excellent. All right, so if you just tuned in, we're speaking with Casandra Holden and Ido Moore, and they're with Laudable Productions, and so happy to have you with us this morning. And we're talking about what's going on with this organization and the great music that they're bringing to the Valley. So why don't we go to some music? And do you want to talk about Atlantico?
Yeah, I guess, are we going to put on 2 tracks?
Sure.
Do this
sure
one.
thing.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're going to do, the first song's going to be from this brand new band from Brooklyn called Combo Lulo, and this track is called Atlantico, and then we're going to follow that with Los Mirlos track. This is the Peruvian Chicha group, one of their most, I think, famous songs from over the years. So,
All right, let's roll it, and we'll be right back.
This is Heather Maloney, and you're listening to Valley Free Radio, WXOJLP 103.3 FM in Northampton.
Awesome.
Hey, this is Joe from Theory of a Dead Man. You're listening to 103.3 WXOJ, Valley Free Radio in Northampton, Massachusetts. Yes.
Hey, this is Carla Racine from the Buzz Magazine, a music fanzine for the
All right, we are back, and you guys, yeah. See, I think I have everybody on.
Yeah, check.
Hope so.
Yeah, now you're on.
All right, thank you.
No, it's not on for some reason. Let's try that. Okay, there we go. Yeah.
Hello.
Okay, there we go. All right, great. So, did you want to talk about that last one?
Yeah, that was Los Mirlos, Peruvian chicha music, coming in for their first U.S. tour. They're only playing in 15 spots all over the country, and East Hampton is one of them. You can go see them on May 16th. That's this Thursday at 8 p.m. New City Brewery. This is part of our Planetary Party series, bringing world music to the Valley. And if you want, we can talk about the following Planetary Party.
Yes,
on,
definitely.
June 7th. So moving into June, we're going to do these once a month, and we want to bring you guys music that you've never heard of from all over the place. So most of these are Valley debuts. You've possibly have have not heard a minute of this music, but we urge you to come check it out because it's all really good.
And it's an opportunity for discovery. It's a chance to sort of take a risk and check out something that you're not familiar with and discover what's marvelous out there.
Yeah.
That's
totally.
what it used to be, more of the Valley music scene, that you would go listen to things that you might not have heard of, but the descriptions sounded cool. And this is a return to that kind of thinking that, we should all take a few more chances on things and be open to other stuff.
Yeah, excellent. Now, I've never been to New City Brewery. Could you just describe how to get to it?
Yeah, so that part's a little tricky.
Yeah, that's why I thought that was...
Your GPS will lead you to a giant brick mill building, but the secret is that you have to go around the back. Mm-hmm. And the back of the brewery has a beautiful beer garden that looks out onto Millside Park, which is where we produce the Mill Pond series. But a couple of years ago, in a public-private partnership, they re-landscaped the entire area behind the mills. So they redid the bike path. There's a parking lot that, has plenty of spaces for everybody. Food Truck Friday happens over at Abandoned Brewery on a regular basis. So it's now this...
Like totally
it's this thriving spot in East Hampton with all these cool things going on back there.
And now which mill building are we talking about? Which street is it on?
It's on Pleasant Street. So the address is 180 Pleasant Street, but you come around the back and you'll see there'll be... there are string lights hung up outside. And
do you go down to the bike path and then make your way around from the bike path entrance down there? Is that where we're talking about?
No, you're going to pull in next to the VFW.
Oh, okay.
Or not it's the Legion.
So, the American Legion there. Yeah.
Yeah, so you pull in like you're going to the Legion and then hang a right.
Around the back of that building. Okay.
Around the back. Or if you're coming off Pleasant Street, you can also pull in next to INSA. And then come down that way.
And there's plenty of parking, which is great. But then also, if you're coming from Northampton, it's like a 4-mile bike ride. And you can't miss it because you're coming down the bikeway and suddenly you'll see the mill buildings and the lights. And there's the beer garden outside. And if you're coming to this next show on June 7th, it happens to be Food Truck Friday as well. So you can eat whatever you want. And then you can see Vox Sambu, which is this band. It's their first time again in Massachusetts. They're a 10-piece Afrobeat band with a Haitian MC who sings in like 5 languages. It really captures like the diversity of Montreal in this group. You've got like big horn section. You've got Malika Tyrolienne, who is sort of a very famous singer in Montreal who plays with a group called Bocante, which is a Snarky Puppy side project. And she's on there too, and it's apparently like, we haven't seen them live yet, but we've heard that they are just blowing up in Quebec, and could be like one of the sleeper shows of the year for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we actually strongly encourage people to bike if they can. There are ample places to lock your bike and keep it safe during the show, and we try to make that part of what we do.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I just picked up my bike after a little repair.
Time
and
for a tune-up.
But yeah, it's all tuned up. It's ready to go. So and that bike path is it's perfect. Takes you right down there.
Yeah, it's great. It just, and since it's been redone, like you can it's a gorgeous ride, and you have a nice place to stop and hang out for a little bit.
Excellent. Now I notice in what you sent me there are also, I didn't notice those earlier, that there are musical links at the bottom. Is there any of that we can share? Is that something? Or
link people to? Well, for one thing, if folks want to see some video right away, you can go to www.collider.live.
Okay.
So that's COLLIDER. .live.
Nice.
And then if you want to get tickets to any of these events, that's www.laudable. So it's LAUDABLE laudable.productions. So no .com, it's .productions. www.laudable.productions. You can get tickets there, and there's also video links at each of the event pages.
Yeah, and a lot of the parents out there are familiar with the Mill 180 Park. Right down there in East Hampton.
So we're right next to that.
Yeah, thank you, Lizzie, for that reminder. Yeah, you just go right past the Mill 180 Park to this, and
one
here's
thing to bring
all
up
the
too
stuff here on Laudable. Yeah,
is these events are all ages events, so you can bring your kids. You can bring they're
Nice.
free for children under 12 years old. We have a student discount at the New City Brewery shows now, so bring your ID if you're a student, and it's $10 instead of potentially $15 or $20.
Right, and we have non-alcoholic beverages there too for folks who don't necessarily want to have a beer and ride home.
fantastic.
So we do our best to meet everybody's needs.
Yeah, so laudable.productions. All the shows are listed right there, and
I would encourage folks to follow both
those outfits.
Laudable
Oh my God,
and
look at that.
Collider on Facebook, because we're always posting, videos and playlists and more information about these artists, so people can really check them out before the shows.
Okay, all right. Where was I? I was looking at those outfits of.
That's
the outfits.
That's Los Mirlos. Yeah, they're like they're
There it
dressed
is,
up like
yeah.
leprechauns, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
that's
taking
incredible.
that Kermit the Frog green to a whole new level.
Look at that, fantastic. And who is that? June 7th. That's.
Vox Sambu,
Vox Sambu.
he's a
Yeah,
Haitian
okay.
MC living in Montreal. He
That's
is
Montreal, yeah.
he's definitely an activist musician. All his music hits these notes about social injustice, and he works at a youth center in Montreal and sort of lives what he sings in a
Excellent.
significant way. So
Who is Sessa? Oh, Central.
So Sessa's coming up
Brazilian
in July
folk pop.
6th, and we
Okay.
can talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
sure.
wanna-
Yeah, so this year, for the first time, we partnered with Historic Northampton, and which is used to be sort of a sleepy outfit, but a couple of years ago, the new co-directors, Betty Sharp and Laurie Sanders, came on board and dusted off the cobwebs and have been doing some outstanding programming there. One of the things that we're doing is launching this series of concerts on the lawn. So Sessa's gonna kick that off on July 6th.
And this is Sessa's coming from Sao Paulo, Brazil, on the U.S. debut tour of his first album. He's worked with Jonathan Gott in New York City, so some people may know him sort of the underground psychedelic rock scene. But this is more of a pop project, and it's very minimalist, very analog. Really strip away all the electronics, and you have a guitar, percussion, and 3 female vocalists doing music that if you're familiar with Caetano Velosa and other sort of music from 60s, 70s Brazil.
Nice.
And these that concert will be free. So the lawn will be open. We'll have a food truck. You can come hang out. And
Now, are you talking about Northampton now? Because we've been speaking about East
So
Hampton, but this
Sessa,
is which lawn are we talking about in Northampton?
so Sessa's performing at the lawn at Historic Northampton.
Oh, Historic Northampton lawn. Oh,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah,
I've
yeah.
never seen a concert there. Or
Right.
music
So
there.
this is a new
Wow.
partnership that we've
Sorry, I
created.
missed that.
That's
Yeah.
all right.
Oh, that's great.
That's all right.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is
Historic Northampton. Okay, got it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so you
Wow.
can come at 6 for picnicking, and then music starts at 7, goes until about 9.
Fantastic. Oh
and
my
again,
God.
these are family-friendly events. We want people to come and
free and
relax.
open to the public, 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Historic Northampton, downtown. Wow.
And
that's
that'll
great.
happen
I love
just
that little courtyard over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And this will happen just after the new permanent exhibition opens. So at the end
Okay.
of June, the renovation will be completed. The new galleries will be open, and then this series of concerts is
perfect.
designed to welcome people to that new space.
Outstanding. All right, and that's all at laudable.productions. And you've got something in August as well.
Yes, we've got the planetary parties. They're hitting every month at the brewery in New City Brewery in East Hampton. So we've got, in July, we've got Combo Chimbita. This is a group of Colombian expats living in New York City who are making some of the craziest music I've heard in my life, maybe. They're really
Nice.
worth checking out. Like,
Nice.
they're like, without exaggerating, they're one of my favorite bands of the last few years. So we're really excited to have them up again. Valley debut. They've never played in the Valley before, and they just got signed to Anti Records, which is like a iconic punk record label that's really branched out over the years. And then in August we've got Tal Nacional from Niger, Africa. So not Nigeria. This is a lesser known country in the Sahel of North Africa, and this is a really special group because they have members of different tribes, the Tuareg, the Hausa, and the Fulani tribes, all sort of in one band. So they're mixing
Nice.
all these interesting
Wow.
musical traditions together. North African guitar. If you like Bombino, for example, you'll be
Yeah.
really into these guys.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're fantastic.
Crazy.
They came through the Valley once last year and played, I think, like at the Root Cellar
Okay.
last year in
Okay.
Greenfield. And they play Coachella and like big festivals, so
Right.
they're a massive sound for this band. So come check them out. August 8th.
And where are they out of? You said they're out of.
And they're from Niger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Where do they stay when they're here? Just kind of
We
curious.
often put them up
Do you?
ourselves.
Yeah, I was wondering if you
Yeah.
did that.
It's,
yeah.
And with world
Yeah.
music, bands are, I think, not as picky as sometimes American touring musicians are, who are used to their hotel rooms. Like, world musicians come from other countries where it's more typical maybe to be hosted.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it feels very natural most of the time.
Although
it's fun
I know,
for us
I know some of the punk bands, they'll stay anywhere
Right,
touring the
yeah,
country,
for
just
sure,
stay with
yeah.
their fans,
Yeah. It's been fun for
But,
us too, because often hosting, we have these big meals together, and it's a chance to connect in a way that if folks
Yeah.
are staying in their hotel rooms, you might miss that. But
Yeah, I mean, like Nurim in Somali, we just had her in March. In Mauritania, she is a superstar. She is possibly the most famous musician in the country. So, like, any superstar U.S. musician would not sleep like in a guest room in your house. But if they're from
Yeah,
Mauritania,
yeah.
they're like, it's a totally different culture.
And what was fun about that actually is that we were sugaring on our land at the time that they were here back in the winter. And so it was fun to give them sort of a tour of the property and show them the whole
Taste
maple
of it,
sugaring
yeah.
setup, which,
That's
is something a little
amazing.
different, uniquely New England.
Yes, totally. So a lot of stuff going on at New City Brewery, Union Station, and historic Northampton. It's amazing how you guys are getting around.
And actually, we've got one more
yeah.
show to talk about.
Sure, what's that?
Which is sort
Did I
of the
miss
most.
that? Yeah.
It's really the most special one because every once in a while we get to present up in this place called Valley View Farm in
Oh, nice.
Haydenville.
It's up behind the brass
June
works.
19th. Okay.
And this show, we're just announcing it now on the radio. It hasn't been. It's going to go up on our website today, but it's going to be like a solstice celebration a couple days before the solstice, and we have very special guests from Colombia and Ecuador. They're called Rio Mira, and they're a marimba supergroup. So these are performers from both countries who are very well known in their genre, and they're playing very traditional, old school Afro-Latin, Afro-Caribbean music from that part of the world. And it's music that originally comes from Africa, from slaves who came over, and eventually, like, they sort of they self-liberated at some point and escaped and created their own villages. And this is in the Esmeraldas region of Ecuador. So it's music that it has like a sort of a joy and pride to it, I think, partially because of the history of self-liberation. And
Absolutely. All right, and that one is Valley View Farm, June 19th.
Yes,
Yeah.
and for those
Valley
of
View
you
Farm.
with strong
Yeah.
calves, there is a bike ride to this event organized
Another
by
bike
the
ride.
Friends of Northampton Trails and Greenways. So
Okay.
you can pedal there and enjoy the food and music. We'll have a little truck serving arepas.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
so some great food,
which
outstanding
is
music.
traditional food from that area, like pre-Columbian corn pancakes with all sorts of things on them, probably.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
So how do you bike out there? You go right out Route 9, or is there a bike path to that one? Or the bike path takes you there part of the way? Is
The
that what
bike
it is?
path will take you there part
Yeah.
of the way, and then you have to.
Well, basically now it takes you 99% of the way, and then you have
Okay.
to go maybe a couple blocks on this Haydenville Street, and then you're
Yeah.
going up the...
Yeah, and then you're going up the hill.
Not bad.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
great.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just a really special venue. For those of you who haven't been there, outstanding panoramic view. And the other thing that we've been able to do when we have events up there is we actually open up the whole property. So if folks want to come during the afternoon and hike the network of trails that are up there and explore a little bit, you can come pet a horse and go for a walk and,
Nice.
get your nature on.
All right. Well, we're just about out of time. So I want to encourage folks to go to laudable.productions, laudable.productions, and also your Facebook page for more information about these incredible shows at these great venues. I love, where you're going with these, and just that it's, world music and people from all over, and especially from the African
And it's fun
continent.
to be in all these different spaces presenting different kinds of music. Like each show is really different. There's a dancing component to most of them, but it's a different way of inhabiting spaces than we may have been used to.
Absolutely. All right. So let's see. Closing thoughts? Anything else you guys would like to add before we...
I think just the one thing is, even if you haven't heard of any of these bands, it doesn't matter. Just come out and come have an analog experience with us at any of these events. It's been a great scene. Wonderful people show up, and we've been having an amazing time.
Outstanding. All right, guys. Thanks so much for coming in. And I want to say thank you to Northampton Community Television. Again, this is Rick Haggerty with Kickin' It for Peace, Culture, and Education, airing each Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. at 103.3 FM Northampton, replaying Tuesday nights at 11 p.m. And thank you so much to everybody down there at Northampton Community Television. So we'll sign off there.